Good morning, children. Here we are going to do map reading of lesson number 3, physiography and drainage. Now, look at this digital elevator model of India. Okay. Now, if you look at this map here, this is not symmetric. This is just an image drawn with the help of a software, children. Okay. So, this gives you a picture of India. All right. You can see the various physiographic divisions of India. Now, what do we call this? Now, this is digital elevated model of India, and you can see the major physiographic divisions. Okay, now some of the physiographic divisions that you can see here, we have the Himalayas. Okay, Himalaya mountains. Okay, this is it stretches into the east of India. We call it as the hills of the Purvachal. You can see the North Indian plains. Okay, you have the Peninsula Plateau. Okay, and you have the coastal plains. Okay, island group, of course, islands are not shown here. Okay, so what are the physiographic divisions that you had just seen? Okay, we have the Himalayas, then we have the North Indian plains, the Peninsula region, and the coastal plains. Okay, now here is a physical map of India. All right, now when you look at the index, you'll find that here we have the altitude, okay, in meters. Okay, now here various colors have been shown, and looking at that, you'll find the maximum altitude shown here is 8,000 meters. Okay, and that is in North India. Okay, so can you see here? The altitude here will be more than 8,000 meters, and it is shown in North India. Okay, now next is here, this is the physical map of Brazil. Again, look for, in the index you'll find the height in meters is given, and here you find the various colors again are seen, and you'll find the highest altitude here is more than 1,000 meters, and that is shown by the orange color. Okay, so just compare India with Brazil. In India, we found that the maximum altitude is more than 8,000 meters, and in Brazil, it is more than 1,000 meters. Okay, remember that, children. So, depending on these two, maps, let us answer some questions. The first one is, in which part do the areas with highest altitude lie in both the countries respectively? Now, in 3.1, okay, I just showed you the highest altitude is seen to the north of India, okay, that is in the Himalayan region, and this extends from Jammu and Kashmir to Arunachal Pradesh, and the highest altitude in India is, K2, okay, with its height as 8,611 meters. So the highest altitude in India is K2 peak, which has a height of 8,611 meters. Okay, now what about Brazil? Okay, you just saw in Brazil, the highest altitude is in the northern and the southern regions. Okay, so you have between, say, Guyana Highlands and the Brazilian Highlands, we have Pico de Neblina, children. Okay, so remember the highest altitude here, this is Pico de Neblina. Its altitude is 3,014 meters. Okay, so this is between the Guyana Highlands and Brazilian Highlands. Okay, and this is the highest peak in Brazil. Okay, and Pico de Neblina lies on the border between, say, Brazil and Argentina. Okay, now again, the next question is, in which country is the range of altitude higher? Of course, children, it has to be India. India has a higher range of altitude. Okay, next one, what difference do you see in the highest range of altitude given in both the countries? Okay, now what is the difference here? Now we find that regions in Brazil to the east and south of the Brazilian highlands have an altitude of more than 1,000 meters. Okay, so look at the map of Brazil. Here you find, look at the color, children. It's yellow and orange here. Okay, so 500 to 1,000, more than 1,000 to 1,500. You find this is usually seen in the southern part as well as the eastern part of Brazil. But in India, you find the highest altitude. Okay, look at the, as I told you, okay, this is the orange color and there's a gray color here, and you'll find that we have it in towards the north of India, children. Okay, look at this. Okay, so regions in Brazil to the east and south of the Brazilian highlands have an altitude of more than 1,000 meters. Whereas in India, we find regions which have a high altitude of more than, say, 8,000 meters are found in northern part of India. Okay, in which direction is the slope of the Amazon River Basin region? Okay, now can you see the Amazon River Basin, children? Here, this is the Amazon River Basin, okay, and it slopes northwards. Okay, so at the mouth of the river, it will be more than 150 kilometers. Okay, now in which direction is the slope of the Amazon River Basin region? Okay, now the Amazon plains, which are located to the northern part of Brazil, slopes, eastwards, and the Amazon basin is quite wide in the west, about 1,300 kilometers, while it narrows eastwards. Okay, so it is broader on the, okay, children, look at that. Okay, it is broader on the west, while towards the east it narrows. Okay, so along the west we find its width is about 1,300 kilometers, whereas towards the eastern side it becomes narrower. Okay, now in which direction is the slope of the Deccan Plateau of India? Okay, now Deccan Plateau of India slopes from the western direction to the eastern direction, and of course you'll remember that because of the slope of the Deccan Plateau, we have many of the rivers which rise on the eastern part of the Western Ghats. It opens it opens into the Bay of Bengal. Okay, it is because of the slope of the Deccan Plateau. Okay, where is the region of rain shadow in both the countries? Okay, and of course, children, the rain shadow in Brazil we find is towards the northeastern part of the Brazilian highlands. Okay, now I think you'll remember the Great Escarpment, children. Okay, this is the Great Escarpment, and because of this Great Escarpment, we find the southeast trade winds which bring rain to Brazil give copious rainfall towards the windward side of the rain-bearing winds, and as the and towards the northeastern part of the Brazilian highlands, we find a drought quadrilateral is created. Okay, so we have the towards the leeward side of the south east trade winds, we find that is towards the escarpment region, we find our drought region is created. Okay, now, so where is the region of rain shadow in both the countries? The northeastern part of the Brazilian highlands receives very low rainfall because of the escarpment. Okay, and this forms the rain shadow region. And in India, of course, we have the rain shadow region is created on the leeward side of the Western Ghats, which receive very low rainfall. Okay, so remember that, children. Now, write a comparative note on the basins of the Ganga and the Amazon River. Okay, so India is the now in India we find the Ganga is the longest river, and Amazon is the longest river in uh, South America. Okay, more or less in Brazil. So you may consider following points for the comparison. Okay, so here when we are making a comparative note on the basins of Ganga and Amazon, we'll have to consider the size of the catchment area. Okay, that is the area drained by a single river system. Okay, and their location, okay, within the countries, that is whether they are in India or Brazil. And then again we have to consider the headwaters of the region, the orientation of the rivers, major tributaries of these rivers and orientation. And apart from that, any other points that you might, for example, uh, any other points that you might consider, like for example, the formation of delta in both the countries. Okay, whether it is in the Ganga River, which forms a delta, and Amazon River, of course, which doesn't form a delta. So these points you'll have to consider while making a comparative note on the basins of Ganga and Amazon. Okay, so here we have a column where on one side we have the river Ganga and on the other we have the river Amazon. Okay, now let's consider the first point is size of the catchment area. Okay, now as I told you, catchment area is the area which is drained by a single river system. Okay, now the catchment area of the Ganga River is in the northern part of India as well as the eastern part. Okay, and it is about 10 lakh 16,124 square kilometers. That is an approximate number. Okay, but here look at the catchment area of the Amazon, children. The catchment area of of the Amazon River is in northern part of Brazil, and it is about 70 lakh 50,000 square kilometers. So the Amazon drains a wider area. Okay, now their relative location, where is it? In India we find the Ganga is spread to the southern region of the Himalayas and towards the northern part of peninsular region. Okay, what about the river Amazon? And we have just seen that river Amazon is spread over a wide area, that is towards the southern region of the Guyana highlands and the north of the Brazilian highlands, as well as to the northwestern region of the basin. Okay, so it lies between the Amazon basin, lies between the Guyana highlands and Brazilian highlands, and it spreads over vast area towards the northwestern uh, part of Brazil. Okay, next is headwater region of the river. Okay, all of us know where the Ganga River originates. The Ganga originates from Gangotri Glacier, about 7,010 meters. Okay, which is in Uttarakhand. Okay, so look at the height of the Gangotri Glacier, children. Okay, now it is at an altitude of 7,010 meters, okay, which is in Uttarakhand, okay, and Amazon River originates from the eastern part of the Andes Mountains, and this is situated in the western part of Brazil in Peru. Okay, next is we have orientation of the rivers. Okay, so which direction does the river flow? Okay, now the Ganga River flows eastwards. Okay, we have seen the slope of the North Indian plain is from the west to the east, isn't it, children? So the Ganga River flows from the slopes of the Himalayas towards the eastern region. Okay, and in West Bengal, okay, its one branch meets the Bay of Bengal while the other branch meets Bangladesh. Okay, look at the Amazon River. Okay, the Amazon River flows from the western direction to the eastern direction and it meets the North Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so you can look at the rivers. Okay, now this is the Ganga River. Okay, so as it comes down the slopes of the Himalayas, okay, and it drains a vast area, all right, and it opens into the Bay of Bengal. Okay, children. Now, of course, we have a delta created here, all right, as that meets the Brahmaputra river, which comes from Bangladesh, and together they have formed a huge delta before it opens into the Bay of Bengal. Okay. Now, here we have the Amazon river, all right. You can find its various tributaries, all right. It from the west, it flows from the west to the eastern direction, and it opens into the North Atlantic Ocean. Okay, children. Now, next is major tributaries and the orientation. Now, the most important tributary of the Ganga is the Yamuna river. Okay. Now, as it flows down from the slopes of the Himalayas, the Yamuna river flows eastwards and it meets Ganga river in Allahabad, okay, on the right bank. And we have Son, which flows northwards and meets the Ganga on the right bank. Apart from this, we have other rivers like the Ghagra, Gangdak, Kosi, which flows towards south and meet the Ganga on its left bank. Okay, now you can see all these rivers here. Okay, now look at the rivers, okay, which meet the river, okay, Ganga. We have the Son, Yamuna rivers there, okay. Then Ghagra, Gangdak, okay. Then we have Kosi river. All these rivers, join the Ganga on the right bank and the left bank, okay. Understood? Now, here under Amazon, we have the Negro, which is a very important tributary, and it flows eastwards and meets the Amazon River on the left bank. Okay. Apart from this, we have other tributaries like, say, the Majira River, then Zuruika, okay, which flows northwards and meets it on the right bank of the river. Okay. Then we have another one, that is the Zingu River, meets near the mouth of the river, which flows from south to north. Okay, so at the mouth of the river, it meets the Amazon. Okay, so look at the tributaries. Okay, we have Negro. Okay, this is the Amazon River. All right. Okay, these are the various tributaries, okay, of the river. There's a Negro River here, Japura, okay, Purus. Now, so Zingu River, okay, meets the Amazon River at the mouth, and it flows from the south to the north. Now, apart from this, we also have, the formation of the delta. Now, how is the delta being formed? I've already explained to you, but here I'll just tell you in short. Okay, the Ganga River deposits its sediment, okay, along the mouth of the along its mouth, okay. The sediments which are brought by the river Ganga and its tributaries are very, very fertile, and hence you find a high density. Because of its fertility, we find there's a high density of population which is concentrated in the northern plain. Okay, now this results in the formation of a delta at its mouth. Now, this is the Sundarbans delta, which is the largest delta in the world. Okay. Now, on the other hand, we find because of the high velocity of the water, now the Amazon River cannot deposit its sediment, okay, along its mouth, okay, or even along the basins. And hence you find, I've already told you, it results in the formation of islands, that is coastal islands. And a very good example is the Marajo Island. Okay. Now, along the mouth of the Amazon, we find the width of the mouth of the Amazon channel is about 150 kilometers. Now, uh, along the Amazon basin, we find there's a dense growth of forests, okay, due to its high rainfall, and because of its hot and humid climate, we find, and because of its inaccessibility, we find density of population is very, very low. Okay, that you'll have to remember. Okay, the reasons for low density, you remember, along the Ganga plains we find because of the fertility of the soil, and because of infrastructure being very, very good, because of roads, development of roads, railways, etc. Okay, density of population along the Ganga plain is very, very high. But here in the Amazon region, we find, because of the region being flooded constantly, and because of its hot and humid climate, okay, and because of this dense uh, rainforest, we find this region is highly inaccessible, and this results in low density of population. Okay, so children, map reading of this lesson, okay, is we have concluded with it. Okay, go through this. Okay, um, and now the points that we have considered here, okay, that is reading of the map, okay, uh, do not neglect, okay, uh, map reading, they're very important from the point of view of your exams. Okay, comparative note on the basin of Ganga and Amazon river is also very important. Okay, just go through what I've just taught you, children. Okay, thank you.